Hi, Rasa.
Hi, Dad.
How are you?
I'm great.
Excellent. Are you ready to know everything?
I am ready to know everything.
Today, I want to share with you one of my favorite possessions. I want to give it to you. At the same time, no one can take it from me. And that's the gift that you'll get when you have it too.
What?
What I'm talking about is something that some people think is old-fashioned. Some people think is fussy, and some people think isn't needed. But I think it is one of the greatest things you can have and practice and then possess. And that is memorize. Now, you and I talk about poems in this podcast all the time, but we get those out of books and we carry books with us or people share them with us. When you memorize something, it's inside your head. No one can take it from you anymore. And you can read it over and over whenever you want without having to carry it any other way. Even if you had all your possessions taken from you, even if you had all your money taken from you, even if you were separated from your friends and family, the poems you have in your head would be something that you could still keep and read and review and enjoy. And what I love about memorizing poems specifically is that they are something that every time you read it, you get something new out of it. Even if they're short, there's so much packed into each line and each one. When we started this podcast, for example, 2 of the first poems we went over are actually poems I've memorized. And they're so short, you can memorize them too if you haven't already. A word is dead when it is said, some say. I say it just begins to live that day.
A word is dead when it is said. Some say. I say that it just begins to live that day.
We dance round in a ring and suppose, but the secret sits in the middle and knows.
We dance round in a ring and suppose, but the secret sits in the middle and knows.
And those are like little games or tricks that you can take out of your pocket, your mental pocket, whenever you want, and kind of review them. They're also a different way of seeing the world. Every poet has a different way of seeing the world. So if you can pull out that way of seeing, it's like a special kind of glasses or binoculars that you can put on to have a totally different view of things. To give you a completely different sense, here's another poem I've memorized, just the beginning. As kingfishers catch fire, dragonflies draw flames. As tumbled over rim and roundy wells stones ring, each hung bell's bow swung finds tongue to fling out broad its name. Each mortal thing does one thing and the same. And it goes on and on from there.
Wow.
So that's a totally different way of understanding the world, seeing the world, and it might not have made any sense at first, but go over it a few times or a few hundred times, and you'll start getting the author's eyes on yours.
Yeah, let's just hope you don't literally have 100 eyes.
Now, you and I have had a secret project along these lines the last 10 weeks, haven't we?
Yes.
While we've been doing the podcast publicly, privately, while we've been taking our walks, we've been memorizing a really long poem.
A really, really, really long poem.
Yes. For those of you who want to look it up, it's called Auguries of Innocence by William Blake, and it's about 160 lines. But we've been doing just 4 new lines a day, about 4 days a week for, I'd say about 10 weeks. And that's how we've been able to get so much memorized. But can you just share the very beginning of it?
Yes. To see a world in a grain of sand, into heaven in a wildflower, hold infinity in the palm of your hand, and eternity in an hour.
Beautiful. And that's just day 1. And we did that for, many, many more days. And how have you found your experience of memorizing the poem to be?
I think it was really fun. There's some parts where you get a little frustrated because you're like, I can't remember that it's a songbird, not a singbird. But then when you're frustrated, It made it even more satisfying when you finally got it right and you came home from the walk with the 4 lines in your head.
Now, did you also have that experience, as I did, that as we were memorizing the poem, you start seeing things in the poem in the world at large?
Yes. There are so many things in that poem. You could literally reference it anytime.
One of my favorite parts of the poem is when we had just learned the line, "The wild deer, wandering here and there, keeps the human soul from care." And we turned a corner on the mountain, and what was standing in our path?
A deer. We just said, a wild deer wandering here and there keeps the human soul from care. And out leaped a deer, just like that.
So, I hope you'll have that in your heart and in your mind and other poems that you gather along the way, and you'll get richer without having to carry anything and without anyone being able to take it from you. And best of all, it's something you can share with other people without getting any poorer yourself. Are you ready for today's poem?
Yes.
It's called Roots by Gary Snyder. Draw over and dig the loose ash soil. Hoe handles are short, the sun's course long. Fingers deep in the earth, search roots. Pull them out, feel through. Roots are strong.
Whoa.
Would you like to read it?
Yes. Roots by Gary Snyder. Draw over and dig the loose ash soil. Hoe handles are short, the sun's course long. Fingers deep in the earth search. Roots pull them out. Feel through. Roots are strong.
Do you ever do any gardening, or have you ever gone with your classmates to one of the school gardens?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Do you know that feeling of digging in the dirt?
Yeah. I've also pulled up plenty of weeds, too.
So, what do you think about roots?
I agree. Roots are very, very strong.
Last segment of the show. Do you have a vexing question for me?
I have a vexing question for you. Why do we get wrinkles on our face when we're old? I mean, if you think about it, it's kind of weird. All our lives, we just have smooth faces, or faces at least without wrinkles. And then one day, we just have wrinkles on our face? What?
Wow, I've got a couple theories, but I don't even want to float them until I do some more research. I'll do some research, and I'll get back to you soon.
Sounds good.
I'm back. According to an interview I read with a dermatologist or skin doctor, there are probably 2 main reasons skin wrinkles as we get older. Things happen inside us and things happen outside us. Inside, over time, our bodies produce a little less of the ingredients that make our skin thick, plump, elastic, and well-oiled. That means it becomes thinner and more fragile, kind of like wrapping paper that's been reused so many times it starts to have little gaps and tears. With skin, the body's patching efforts produce wrinkles. Outside, we do things to our skin. We expose it to the sun, or we expose it to polluted air, or we smoke, which brings polluted air inside us. All that makes skin rougher, patchier, thinner, and yes, wrinkled. But we can wear sunscreen or protective clothing, we can stay out of polluted air if possible, and we can choose not to smoke. Other wrinkle factors may be losing weight as you age, so you have the same skin with less body to cover, like baggy clothing. or making the same expression over and over in your life. Hence, you have terms like smile lines or worry lines. On the other hand, drinking plenty of water and eating certain kinds of food supposedly keeps the skin fresher longer. Now, this reminds me of one of my favorite interviews I ever read. It was with a French woman who was the oldest person in the world at the time. I think she was 116 years old. "You're remarkable," the interviewer said. "You don't even have any wrinkles." No, she said. "I do. I have exactly one wrinkle." "Where?" he said. "I can't see it." "I'm sitting on it," she said.
Wow. I guess that's one wrinkle that you can't get rid of.
You Must Know Everything is produced by me, Jeremy Smith, and her, Rasa Smith, with awesome music by Furniture. Subscribe via Apple Podcasts, Android, Spotify, or however you like to listen, and hear dozens of previous episodes for free. Please rate, review, and share the show with friends. And please join us next time for everything you need to know.